this episode of Tactical Tuner, we're going to be reviewing another new pistol that has decided to join the fight in the subcompact war. And that pistol would be the new Canik TP9 Elite SC. Hello everyone and welcome back to Tactical Tuner. I'm your host Jason Brackney, and in this episode we're going to be taking a look at a new pistol that just hit the market this fall, and that would be the Canik TP9 Elite SC. Real quick before we get into this review though, I want to thank our sponsors over at thegundock for helping us put these videos together and for sending this pistol out to take a look at. So on October 2nd, Canik released this new subcompact. And that was shortly after Springfield had released their new HellCat and SIG had released their new P365 SAS. So as you can see, this fall there's a bit of a battle going on for the subcompact market share. And we're curious to see if this Canik has what it takes to be a contender in that battle. So real quick, we're going to take a look at the features to see what this Canik's offering. Okay guys, now let's look at what all comes with this Canik and then some of the features of the pistol itself. Start with what all you get with it. So let's see here. Okay, so you got a manual warranty card, kind of the basics, you know, a couple cleaning brushes. Let's pull a pistol out here. Set that aside for now. It's like you get an additional mag floor plate, kind of the standard additional back strap for your pistol. I'm not sure if this is the large or the small, but it's the opposite of whatever's on there. And then you have a red dot sight mount that comes with it. You've got your extended 15 round magazine and your let's see, your Canik toolbox. I think these just have some screws and stuff to help mount some of the optic sights to the pistol. So that's what all you're going to get with the pistol. Close this up. Okay, so it looks like you've got an in the waistband and out of the waistband Kydex holster with some of the Canik branding. Looks to be pretty nice with a little bit of an adjustment room for it. So I think that's an upgrade from the last holster that they were giving away, which was more like a Blackhawk style holster. So I like that. Okay, now as far as the pistol. So let's go ahead and start with the grip. Looks like it's got some relatively aggressive texturing on the front and back. You do have interchangeable back straps, one being small and one being large, depending on the size of your hand. It's got a little bit of stippling type of texture feel, sandpaper feel in the grip panels here. Not real aggressive, but it'd probably work. You do have your standard 12 round mag does have a little bit of a lip to keep your finger on the grip, with a little bit of light texturing on the sides and then some front texturing. Let's see what this one has. Kind of the same thing here. It reminds me a lot of a SIG X magazine with a little bit of texturing on the sides, you know, on their bigger extensions. But it's got some pretty good texturing, you know, to help you be able to pull that mag. So that's pretty nice little grip, I would say, for a stock gun. Moving on down to the trigger guard. They've got a little bit of an indentation here. I assume so if somebody wanted to stipple that or something, they could. But I guess to help kind of keep your finger into that to that trigger guard. Then they also do have the Picatinny rail if you want to mount some weapons lights or anything. And then let's look at the mag release here. It does appear to be an ambidextrous where you can swap them to either side. One thing I noticed earlier is the magazines on these are extremely tight. And I'm pretty sure it was, let's see, it's on this one. And let's see if this one is, that one's a little bit looser. But, you know, if you put this in, you can pull it out to there. You can, and this thing will not come out. I mean, it is in there. It is really snug. So I think you're going to have a hard time, doing just being able to just dump the mag and load another one. You really got to pull it out of there. So that's not a real good thing. But it is what it is. So that's just something to remember if you're considering this pistol. Let's move on up. It does have ambidextrous slide release, so you can drop it from either side. Oops. Okay, I don't know what that was, but so you can drop it from either side. You've got your two arms there to pull down and pop the slide off. I'm not going to do that because I'm sure that'll probably be something that will get me in trouble with YouTube by trying to disassemble this thing, so we're going to avoid doing that. You do have a little bit of texturing up here in the front, to give you a contact point for your finger, so you can index that finger off the trigger. This thing has extremely aggressive slide serrations. I always have like Canik slide serrations because they're cut deep and sharp, and you have no problem really getting a grip on those slide serrations. So that's something I really do like about all the Caniks I own, and including this one. You do have your loaded chamber indicator on the Caniks, which is a nice feature. As you can see here, it's on fire, and then boop, and it drops away once you fire. So something you can quickly just glance at, see what the status is of your pistol. Not a bad feature. It does have a fully blacked out rear sight with a phosphorus front sight. Both sights appear to be steel. My understanding is once you throw a red dot optic on here, these sights will co-witness with a red dot optic. So another nice feature. I always have liked the factory sights that come on Caniks. They always seem to be pretty good quality. Other than that, again, you've got your plate you can remove to throw various red dot optics on it. As far as the recoil spring, this does have an all steel dual capture recoil spring, which I like a lot better. I've actually seen some pistols that have a plastic dual capture, a plastic rotted dual capture spring, which to me is just cheap. But this is a steel dual capture recoil spring that isn't extremely stiff. As far as the trigger on these things have great triggers. I don't think I've ever owned a Canik that didn't have a really good trigger. It's just a nice clean break, and again, a nice reset. So that's a feature I really do like about these Caniks. The slide itself, as most people already know, is a Cerakote finish. It is their tungsten Cerakote, and they've got a little bit of black inlaid into the wording on the slide, which kind of makes it pop a little bit. I always like that. But as far as the size of this, to give you an idea, this is a pretty big pistol to be considered a subcompact. And as far as the size, you're looking at 6.7 inches in length, you're looking at 4.6 inches in height, and then it is 1.45 inches in width with a barrel length of 3.6, I believe it is. And then this thing weighs a whopping 24.78 ounces. So a pretty big pistol, pretty heavy pistol, in my opinion, to be considered a subcompact. But anyway, that's pretty much the features you're going to get with this pistol. So let's go ahead and get this wrapped up so we can get out and shoot it. So that's a basic overview of the features of the pistol, and then also what you can expect to get in the box. So what we want to do now is we're going to run out to the range and take a few shots with it. Before we do, I want to let you know that we haven't cleaned or lubed this pistol in any way. We want to see how well it performs right out of the box. We're going to be using 115 grain Federal and 115 grain Winchester ammunition, just some basic ammunition. So why don't we go ahead and get ready and head out to the range and see how well she does. Okay, so now that we've had a chance to put a few rounds down range with this pistol, I wanted to kind of go over my likes and dislikes of the Firearm. Let's go ahead and start with the dislikes and get them out of the way. I would say the main thing I don't like about this, and it seems to be the main complaint a lot of the reviewers have with this pistol, is just this weird extended mag that they send with this. You know, it's just weird looking to have this block here gone. I don't know why they didn't do an extension that comes back a little bit more and fills in the grip. I think that would have made a big improvement and made this pistol a lot more likable had they done that. You know, with the standard mag, you know, it looks fine. And, you know, you can still, with the standard mag, get that pinky on. You know, if I was them, I would have marketed and sold it with just that. You know, and then maybe later put a little more thought into this and came out with something that did fill that gap. So that's the main thing I don't like about this pistol, is just that. It just don't look right. Does it work? Yes. I mean, you get a solid grip on it with no problem, you know, and it doesn't feel too bad. It feels a little weird on the palm because you can feel that spot missing. But again, it does work. So that's one feature I didn't really care for about this. Other than that, it would be just the overall size and the weight of this gun to be classified as a subcompact. To me, this is way too big of a gun to be a subcompact. In fact, if you compare it to my CZ-P07, they are almost identical in size, with the extended mag, of course. But if you look at the slide widths and lengths, you know, they weigh, the CZ might be just a hair heavier, but they're almost identical in size. They're even priced roughly the same. A lot of times you can find a P07 for around 380 bucks, you know, which is going to be right around the price of this Canik. So to me, if I'm going to buy, you know, what I consider to be a compact, I would go with the P07 myself. You just can't beat a CZ. Had they marketed this as a compact, and it would have came with a full-size grip, you know, like a standard TP9, I think they would have done a lot better. Or they should have came out with a completely new design to try to get some of that market share of the subcompact world. You know, Canik does a lot of really neat, innovative stuff, and I think they could have done that. And they could have, you know, taken a little bit of that from SIG or from now the HellCat or Glock. But I think this was just kind of a cheap way to try to get into that market a little deeper and get some of that market share. Other than that, though, I would say as far as my likes, the things I like, one right off the bat, I've always liked the tungsten finish of the Caniks. And you know, I actually own a couple more of these. I've got a TP9 SFX. I love that gun. I love the trigger. It's one of my favorite guns. Same with this. I love the finish. I love the slide serrations are nice and deep, so you can get a real positive grip. You know, it's just a rich looking gun. I also love the Canik's trigger. I think out of the box, there's very few pistol manufacturers that can beat a Canik's trigger right out of the box. To me, these blow a Glock away. They blow H&K VP9s away. These have, to me, some of the best out of the box triggers. You know, this thing comes with almost pretty much all polished internals, polished trigger bar, things like that. So, you know, those are extras you got to pay for with a Glock and some other firearms out there, or you got to do it yourself. But this thing comes ready to roll. The trigger is nice and smooth. It's not gritty at all. You know, it's got a clean break, quick reset, and that's stock right out of the box. So I really like the trigger. I like the slide color, the finish. I also like the sights. These are nice steel iron sights. I like it because this comes blacked out instead of a 3-dot or tritium. I'm not a fan of either one of those. I like just a solid black rear sight. If it were my gun, I'd probably go ahead and add a fiber optic just because that's how I like to run my guns, with the fiber optic. But this does work. We were able to shoot pretty well with these sights. So I would say the negatives are going to be the extended mag and the size. The pros are going to be the finish and the trigger and the sights. And that's pretty much my thoughts on this gun. So real quick, why don't we run it back out? I want to put a few rounds on paper, We're also going to try it at 50 yards, see how well it does at 50 yards, and get a little bit better feel for this gun, and then we'll wrap up the video. So let's go ahead and head back out to the range. Okay guys, and now for my final thoughts on the Canik TP9 Elite SC. For me, I think I'd pass on this pistol right now. I don't think it was a pistol that really needed to be built. I think if they're trying to compete with the SIG P365 or the new Springfield HellCat or even the Glock 43 or 43X, I don't think they're going to be a contender. Not because this is a bad gun. It shot fine, had a good trigger. I don't think this is the same type of gun. I don't think it's the same class of gun. To me, this is a bigger gun, a heavier gun, a bulkier gun. You know, like I said, I would compare this to a Glock 19 or the CZP07, you know, or you know the HKV P9. They're with SK, they're compact. You know, this is a little bit too big a gun for me to put this in the subcompact market. So that's just my feelings on it. You know, the thing with the extended magazine, missing that little notch, you know, again, I just don't care for that. So there's plenty of other guns out there that don't have, you know, some of those little quirks that this one does, you know, that are close to the same price that I would rather go with. Again, this isn't a bad gun in any way. It seemed to be very reliable, had a good trigger, actually shot pretty well. There's just other things I would prefer to have than this, you know, for the size and the weight that this thing is. So again, that's just my opinion. You know, you guys may want to try it out. You may love it. Well, that'll just about do it for our review of the Canik TP9 Elite SC. If you think you may be interested in picking up one of these Caniks or accessories for it, head on over to the Gun Dock, and I'm sure they'll take great care of you. And while you're over there, don't forget to use promo code Tacticaltuner, and you'll receive 3% off your total order. Well, if you like this video, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And if you'd like to find out more about Tactical Tuner, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Tactical Tuner. You can also find us on Tacticaltuner.com, where we have links to all the products we review. Well, thanks again for watching, and until next time, we'll see you at the range.